everyone joining us today. Hopefully I'm not upside down, but I guess we will see what happens. And if I am upside down, then I will adjust the video later. We'll just learn ideas and it will be upside down, but it'll be fine. Welcome to Demo Today, friends. Thank you for joining me. So I started getting involved in envelope art when I started following this gal online, and her name is Natifa, I believe, or Natifa. I think it's Natifa. And her business is called Juicy Christians, and she actually does a new envelope tutorial every day, which is so cool. And so I was really inspired watching her stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to create envelopes, I want to add fun. So I'm just going to share some ideas with you today on how to make your envelopes more exciting. All right, so I'm going to start with just a basic idea here. All right, so we're going to start with the standard. This is a greeting card size envelope, the A7, for those of you wondering. And I don't know if those of you watching on the live, I don't know if you heard, but this might be upside down for you, and if it is, I apologize. Okay, so this, the greeting card size envelope is nice because you can actually do more art on it. You have more space to work. It's basically a larger canvas, okay? So I'm going to start out with some of my fun papers I've been bringing in. And I think that I'm going to actually start with this one. Paper that has the little cutouts already is really nice because then you can just go in and just start cutting out the shapes, and then you can make a really nice, quick focal point for your card. So I'm going to go ahead and just start cutting these things out. If you have a die cut machine, it's sometimes a little bit easier to get a perfect circle. But when we're doing just a quick, not quick, we're doing envelope art, sometimes it's kind of fun to have it look a little, just stressed a little different. It doesn't have to be perfect, basically. Okay, so we're just going to start out here and cut this little guy out. And I have had a number of people ask me over the years, like, oh, am I allowed to have extra stuff and all these fun things on an envelope? And the answer is yes, especially if it's something that's kind of a little bit of a thicker envelope. And then let's say that you're wanting to mail it and you're like, wow, it's already really thick, it's going to cost more. You can actually slide it into a clear bag and mail it. And I know that seems a little strange, but they refer to it as a clear envelope. So then if there's things that might fall off in process, you know it'll all stay in the clear bag, which is really cool. And I know this because I've actually had friends that received envelopes that were in a clear bag. And when they got it in the mail, so I was like, okay, that makes it so that kind of opens up the doors to like all sorts of fun ideas. So I'm just going to start out here by just adding some little fun. I like to add the little chevron pieces to things because it just makes it look more exciting. And so you can just already start to kind of build and kind of create your fun little design. And I love adding in extra textures because it's just thrilling, because I'm a big fan of texture. I'm just going to move this to the side. I'm going to probably have to take a paper towel and like squeegee the inside of my mask at some point, because I am still learning how to use a clear visor. Okay, especially because I love to talk all the time. All right, so we're just going to kind of put this together. And my friend Chris, she actually created a fun envelope and a fun card actually using this kind of concept. And so, Chris, if you're watching, just know that I was inspired by you. So thanks, Chris. Because she had done this really beautiful card for her partner where she had done this castle, and she had done the couple together and the little cake, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so cute. But I love when you have a patterned paper like this where you have all these different designs on here that can go together. They all kind of tie in, so you can actually use them for adding fun to your envelopes and kind of create like a cool kind of theme. So I'm going to just kind of quickly cut this out. In case you're wondering, I'm going for a magical theme on this card with my castles and the little roses I thought were really sweet. Yeah, this paper is gorgeous, and the background is also really fun. It's just again kind of a little bit more subtle, which actually makes a really cool background for the backing. So, and speaking of this design, I actually have a stencil that has that really beautiful kind of the the kind of movement, the scrolls. So we can use that also for creating a background. So what's kind of cool about decorating envelopes is that you can create like a whole piece of art, or you can create like a collage. And if you're going to make this at home and you're like wondering, well, how do I even start? My suggestions for you are two things. Pick a theme and pick a color palette. Because, and that just will kind of start to help you kind of gather your items up. So you can walk around your house and say, oh, well, this fits that vintage theme I'm going for, and kind of pull that into your site. And you can kind of gather all your things together. And then you can start thinking, oh, this will be my focal point. And then you can work off of that. So for here, my focal point is probably going to be my address, because that's where we want the eye to draw to. We don't want to be like, where the heck is this address at? But also we want to add this kind of vintage kind of colors and things to the background. Okay, and I'm just gonna, it says once upon a time. I'm keeping that because I like that. All right, okay. So as I fussy cut out my little castle, oh my gosh, like a castle in the clouds idea. Ah, I'm already loving this so much. Okay, and then I'm gonna grab my blending brush. In case you didn't figure this out, Debbie, I get really excited.
I love it. The enthusiasm is wonderful.
Yes, it's good to get excited. All right, so now since I move this to the side for just a moment so I can add in some fun kind of fancy scroll work.
What ink are you using?
This is the Distress Ink Walnut Stain. I love this ink because it's so easy to, and with the blending brushes, and we used this other day in class, but it's just really nice to be able to get this really subtle look. Even if you think there's not really any ink going on, what's amazing about using the blending brushes and this ink is that you actually get really nice contrast even if you hardly have any ink. It is just so gorgeous. I just absolutely love that. And since I want to kind of balance my envelope a little bit, I'm going to add just a little bit over here on the side. Again, just really nice, kind of just bringing your eye towards your center, towards your focal point. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just lay this on, and I'm actually going to add, did you have a question?
No,
Okay. It's just fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, did you see?
Just raising up.
Yes, isn't that so beautiful? I'm just loving that. So now I'm actually going to take my blending brush, and I'm going to ink the edges of this a little bit. Inking, we're kind of making it look a little bit more vintage, where you're just laying it down just ever so slightly. That way you don't get just a nice, that way you have a little bit more contrast when you're kind of brushing it just against the edge. It just looks a little bit darker. And if you want it to be really dark, you can move your envelope out of the way and add some like nice kind of dark paints. That way, again, kind of drawing your eye more towards the focal point, making it look a little, that kind of vignette kind of look. Sometimes you can put an effect on like a photo. All right, and I'm going to clean out this off, so I don't want to get this all over my envelope. I want my envelope to say fancy.
Yes. That ink matches.
Yeah, isn't the mesh ribbon so much fun? I just love that. All right. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. Oh. We'll use double-sided tape since my glue is up front at the moment. All right. And I'll glue this in here. And I'm sticking with this kind of, since I have some straight lines on here, on my paper, I want to kind of keep with that kind of straight kind of movement. And I'm realizing that this is just ever so slight. Oh goodness, my tape is very strong. Well, we'll just go with it. We'll just go with the flow here. All right, and then I need to come up with a fake address. Let's see here. We'll say Mr. and Mrs. And then we'll say 1, 2, 4, 5. Happy place. Haha, love it. All right. Okay.
Of course.
Yes, I know. Gotta go with kind of an Ellie style here. And since I'm doing this anyway, I might as well add a little bit of flourish onto the side here, especially because we have a nice contrast for our lettering. I probably actually could add a little bit of fun, very light scroll work even to the top of that, just to make it look a little bit more fun. And I actually really like that. That's actually kind of cool. So we'll kind of tie that in there. All right. And then I have my little castle, and we'll add in my mesh ribbon. When I'm sticking the ribbons down, especially mesh ribbon, I always use double-sided tape because double-sided tape is a dry adhesive, so you can actually stick those in place quickly. Oh, my surface is a little bit wet. I'm just going to offset that just slightly there. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, I love that. I'm just going to scoot this over just ever so slightly. take that down. My other mesh ribbon on here, and I'm gonna actually go a little bit farther in the other direction. And I can go ahead and I'll trim that off on the end, and that'll be fine. All right, add in some more double-sided tape. We'll stick that on. Okay. And then I can trim this off, and then we'll add in my little castle. We'll actually have to stick this down here. Oh, I really wanted it right there, though. Just put this down here. Just really love my castle so much that I want to make that a fun focal point. All right, I'm able to do it. Here we go. Perfect. Yes. Especially if they maybe it was a couple that just got married and like you're happily ever after. Oh, wouldn't that be so much fun? All right. And we can add that in. Okay. All right. And then I'm just going to go ahead and trim this off. Any excess that might be sticking off here, even my little, oops, sorry, even the little end of that, I'm okay with that. I actually could probably fix that just a little bit if I wanted to. Oh, let's see if I can get behind there. There we go. So it gets back to my little chevron look. All right, so there is our first envelope idea.
Wow.
Isn't that so cool? It's just exciting looking. And I love to add sometimes, just especially because we have a lot of black right here, sometimes I like to add something else in just to make it look like it's not so stark right there, even though this makes a really nice focal point. I like to use my pen sometimes to kind of make these fun little splash marks. And this is kind of a fun way to kind of tie that in, that black, and make it look like it's not totally out of place. All right, so that's what that looks like. So I thought that was kind of fun, just to kind of bring that in, and it's also kind of drawing your eye to your focal point of the address. So there is our first idea. Yay! You guys can look at that a little bit closer if you would like. All right, now we'll head on to the next idea. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like it. All right. So now,
You look like she's a beekeeper.
hello, Carol. Welcome to demo. All right. So now what we're going to do here is I wanted to make an envelope using an envelope we already have. So if you have an envelope laying around and you're like, oh, I would love this to be something totally different, you can actually tear this apart. That's my first idea. Isn't that fun?
Oh,
So you can actually take this.
that actually looks too cute to send to the mail.
Yeah, it does seem like it's too cute to send in the mail, but let's say you had someone in your life that maybe had just had a wedding. That would be perfect for that.
Oh yeah.
All right, so what
It's not going through the mail like that. I can
So if you put this in a clear,
yes,
where do you
can
put
that
your
in clear
stamps?
bag. So yeah, you can put your stamp right here at the top. We could probably scoot that over
Okay,
a little bit.
okay.
Or, I'm glad you asked, you can actually take your envelope, and this is just a clear bag, and you can just tuck that right in. So then you can mail it, like you were asking, Carol. And you just tuck that right in there, and then you would put your stamp on the bag itself. Yep. And then you can mail that in the mail. So that's a great way, so that way everything stays protected. As it goes through the rollers, you know that nothing is going to be damaged. And then as they pull this out, then they'll be able to actually have their piece of art. Everything is together, especially because the ink that I use to do my lettering, I know is not waterproof. I can make sure that it stays nice and finished. And if you wanted to, put something on the back, then that way we can see the fun back. You could do like we did sealing wax last week. You could add a fun wax seal. So you can do more with that to just bring the level way up. So now what I'm doing is I've taken my envelope here and I've torn it apart, and I want to actually make a new envelope with this. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm just going to barely tack this down temporarily, just so it stays in place, so then that way I can start cutting out my envelope shape. So using an old envelope, or let's say you love the shape of an envelope that you already have, you can cut that out. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Want to sit down?
Okay.
All right.
Never thought about that.
Yeah, so just kind of, sometimes we have those envelopes like the deep flap envelopes or something that's just really cool, and we're like, oh, I wish I could keep that shape or keep that envelope or make more. Now, this is really good if you want to make like one or two the same way. If you're going to be doing a lot of them, then you probably want to get the envelope punch board, which is a punch board that actually makes different sizes of envelopes. And I would demo that for you today, but I have sold out of it. I sold my used one to someone, so now I don't have one to show you what I'm talking about. But that might be for a future envelope demo.
I just handmade mine.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yep, you can hand make envelopes. And I remember as a kid, I would always hand make envelopes because I was like, oh, I want to make it more fun. Or let's say you made a card that's a really unusual shape. You could absolutely take that and fold it around your card so that way you get the shape that you would like. So,
Well, I remember as a kid, I made him out of just a piece of computer paper that I had decorated
yeah,
or whatever.
exactly. Yes, yep. Using your computer paper or a fun paper that you might already have laying around.
Or any kind of, mostly it was computer paper or whatever paper because it was cut it in a square and then fold it and
Yeah, and then fold it once and fold it again. Yep, absolutely. All right. This is also a great way so then you can make sure that you have your seams are correct. You can actually fold on the seams that are already there. So that way you don't have to get out your scoreboard or anything. You can just literally use the seams that are already built into the envelope. And that makes it, again, really much easier to make sure that you have the right size and nothing's like hanging off of the edge. But then you can take this and we're just going to peel this away here. And then we will just fold that in. Go ahead and add some tape there. And some tape here. Alright. Okay, so then you have a map themed envelope. Isn't that cool? I don't know if you guys can see that up there, but I thought that was pretty fun. Alright, now let's go ahead and add in some more exciting parts to this. So, my next idea, oh goodness, I have a mess of ideas up here on my table. We'll just kind of tuck all this to the side for just a moment here. Alright. And let's see, I just need a plain pen. Oh, if I grab the plain pen. Jay, would you mind grabbing me just a normal pen?
Yep, you got it.
Okay. So, what I want to do here, actually I'm going to peel this away for just a second because even though my tape is very, very strong here, it's hiding what I'm going to do. But I wanted to do something else with this and I forgot. I'm going to tear my envelope apart. Okay, so now what I'm going to use is I'm going to use my cutting mat. I'm going to lay my cutting mat down because I want to do a cutout in the front of my envelope.
Oh.
Now, a lot of my ideas have come from Tifa because she is just so amazingly talented. And I'm like, oh, I want to do that too. So these are my take on some
you
of
mean
her
there's
ideas.
somebody more talented and creative
Oh,
than you?
Carol, you're so kind. Yes, there are lots of other people out there that are more talented than me. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut into this because I'm going to cut out where I want the address to be. Okay. And, oh, I didn't cut that super straight, but that's all right. Fix that now. There we go. All right, now check this out. You can actually take a piece of acetate, and we're going to, on the back side of my envelope here, on the inside, I'm going to put double-sided tape down because double-sided tape is going to stick much better than trying to glue down a piece of acetate and then waiting for that to dry. Then I'm going to stick my acetate in place. Make sure there's no glue sticking out because if there is, that will make your envelope stick, so just be aware of that. All right, and now I'm going to just give myself just a little bit of, make sure I write my address in the space that's allowed here. Probably before I glue the acetate down, I would have maybe marked a piece of paper just so I know where to write my address. So we'll just say, we'll write this to my partner here. To Taylor Moldon. And let's see, this will fit. Yes. And we're going to continue to say happy place because he's my favorite human. Alright.
Taylor's your favorite human?
Yes, of course he's
I
my
thought
favorite
he was
human.
the gnome.
Yes, he's my favorite. I guess that's a good point. He's my gnome. Because I believe I'm a real life fairy, so he would be my gnome.
Okay.
Alright, and now I'm going to go ahead and put double-sided tape on here, once again, right on top of that acetate. And then lay that down, line it up so we can actually see that there. And I'll lay that down. And make sure I have my tape exposed there. Luckily this tape will just roll right off wherever I put it, so then that way I can just remove that. You can also use an adhesive eraser, which does exist, and those are also really wonderful. An adhesive eraser actually just removes just adhesive, just glue or tape that's sticking out. It doesn't harm the paper underneath, which is pretty incredible. All right, so now, then we can start adding on some fun stuff on the outside. Sorry, I realized there was tape still on the inside, but my whole thing is sticking together. Okay, and then, oh, my watercolors. Oh, thank you for grabbing my tape there. All right, so what we're going to do here, I'm going to go ahead and just add some fun little spray, because I love to use spray inks. And because I have used blue ink here, so I need to add some more blue somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of...
Is this an oxide?
This is an oxide spray ink, yes. And because our we have acetate here, even if it gets on top of the image, it's not a problem. We can just wipe that away, which works out really nicely. Okay. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of green as well. Trying to stick with my theme of kind of this kind of matte kind of an idea. Oh, that's a lot of green. I kind of like that. All right. And my hands are messy, but that's all right, because that's my life. Owning a little art store, I can do that. And peel this away here. All right, and I think because I have my pen is still out, and because my pen still does the thing I need it to do, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually add in some little fun doodles and things, just to make this look a little bit more fun. Just to kind of add some little fun little focal points on here. This I also love to doodle, so this is a great way to just kind of add in your own little spin. And I like to do these like large dots to small dots, because then it makes it so that you can actually have, it's kind of just, again, kind of drawing your eye more towards the center there. And since I have my blue pen I've already used, I'm going to kind of go in and add some little extra little details around my little doodles. So kind of giving that like kind of extra dimension. Don't worry, Carol, I will show you too. I'm sorry, I'm trying to doodle at the moment, but you're also welcome to come over here and take a look at the little splash marks. Just to kind of make that look a little bit more fun. And sometimes that duo color adds a lot to it. So, anyways, isn't that fun?
Yep.
So I thought that was really kind of a cool way. And but the acetate is just kind of it's just fun, especially if you're using a pen that you know is not going to be waterproof. And this will go through the mail, no problem. I don't need to add I don't need to put it through a clear bag or anything. But then that way you know that your the address itself isn't going to go anywhere. And of course you can add your stamp onto the front. And then if you wanted to add some more detail on the back, you could. I'm not going to do my spray ink because I kind of like that it has just the normal math at the bottom. But we could, of course, go in and add some more little details if we wanted to. But I just thought that was kind of fun. And kind of making a fun card for a guy, because we're always kind of looking for some more masculine ideas for doing envelopes or cards. And it's like, how cool would that be to get that in the mail? Like, oh my gosh, a fun envelope? What? So if you guys want to look that up, you want to pass it over there. Yes, so that was a fun idea too. All right, and I have my little notes for other ideas that I have. Okay, next.
And you can see the map is there. It's subtle.
Okay.
And it's very masculine.
Yeah.
All right. So yesterday in class we used this wide washi tape. Now wide washi tape, I've had numerous people say, how do you use wide washi tape? And so I've been trying to help people kind of think outside the box. Like, oh, you could do this, you could do this. You know, just trying to help people kind of think about all the different things they can do. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to stick it onto a piece of cardstock. And then I'm going to cut my piece of cardstock to be the size that you would, a place where you, the size that is good enough for writing an address in. And then I'm going to trim this down. All right, because it's washi tape, we can then peel this away. Oh, come on. Because washi tape is just a light adhesive paper tape. There we go. So I can peel that away so I know it's the right size. Then you can stick this on your envelope where you're going to be writing your address. It's actually acting as a mask. Okay? Now we can do all sorts of fun art. We could do some fun doodles. We could do some spray inks, which we are. We're going to do all of that stuff. So I'm going to use my cloud stencil. It's one of my favorite stencils. It is amazing. I need to make sure this is a little bit more straight because I'm noticing it's not, and it's going to drive me crazy later.
Yeah, that gets me if it's not like that.
I'm like, oh gosh, I know. And then I give it to someone, they're like, I didn't even notice. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I noticed. I know that it's not straight. So, all right, that's at least better than what
I
it
use
was.
my ruler to line it.
Oh yeah, a ruler's a great way to go too. All right. So once again, I'm using my distress ink. This is peacock feather distress ink. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually do my cloud stenciling. I'm going to not use my cutting mat to do this one because we could just get ink everywhere.
Oh, yes.
All right. So when you're using a cloud stencil, you start on a colored piece of paper or white paper. You're going to start at the top and go and move your way down. Okay. So the blending brushes are, like I've mentioned before, are really great for doing stenciling because even if you think that there's not really anything laying down, it's surprising how much is actually being laid down. And I want it to be kind of like a fun, beautiful, cloudy day. And I have some lines over here that my edge of my stencil is showing, so I just went over that to cover that up. And since I have some darker areas, I can add some more darker areas so it looks like I did that all on purpose. Not a mistake. And what's cool about the stencil is you can go back again and again. You can flip it over if you wanted to, just to get a different kind of cloud. You got lots of ways to do that. Okay. All right. And then, because I'm the kind of person that I really love to have like extra stuff going on, I'm just going to kind of draw around this just to kind of make it look like, again, just kind of adding some fun like little doodles and things in here. But again, trying to draw your eye towards that center. And let's see here. Let's see what the tip of my brush is like. Some fun. I love to add the little splash marks because it just makes me really happy.
Those are fun.
They are really fun. And you just use the brush tip and you just kind of press down. You put the point of the brush inwards towards your focal point of your card, and then you just lay down these little splash marks. And I'm just going to add some little dotting kind of up here. My lines aren't straight for my little doodles, but that's okay. I'm kind of going with it. If I do it on purpose, then it's fine. If it's like all supposed to be straight and perfect, then it's going to be obvious that I kind of messed up a little bit. And I kind of went off the edge up here, and then I kind of went in the same direction, kind of off the edge, kind of down here. And let's see what else I want to incorporate. There was something else I wanted to add to this one. Let's see. Oh, I know what it was. Where is it? Whoops. All right, I think I'm going to add some of my fun like little plants, little planters into this because it's just so fun and so cute. This is my art, and I wanted to, I remember when I was drawing these, I was like, I want to add some fun little plants. I wanted to make it more exciting. And I think in this fashion, I think I'm actually going to take it off of the planter itself and just do my cute little leaves because I kind of want to make it look like it's kind of outside.
Oh, cool. So let's see, I am seeing, I have a stamp set that's like out of this world, on a spaceship.
Okay, we have our cute little plants, and I'm going to use my little pens here just to add a little bit of color to my little leaf.
Let me see here. I have some that are like transportation.
Yep, just make that look a little bit more realistic.
Oh, or that.
But we'll just throw that in
Yeah.
here.
Let's see.
The white lines are just begging for color.
Yeah. I know.
Just adding some kind of darker areas in here.
I wonder how you could like build that, you know?
I'm gonna add some fun little leaf things. I gotta have some more leafy sprigs going on here. Let's see what else I can pull out of here. Go to the top of this guy, I think. And probably what I should have done was actually colored some of these ahead of time, but that's okay. Sometimes it's just we gotta do what we gotta do.
I love the plants.
I love the plants too. I'm just a big fan of plants. You're welcome to look at that closer if you'd like. Yeah, again, that's my own art, but I just really loved kind of making like all the fun things that you can use for a variety of things. And the images are printed onto watercolor paper, so if you wanted to add watercolor them and then use them in card making or make like your own collage scene, that was kind of my intention, is that, you know, because like sometimes we just want like a cute little plant. Or maybe on the front of a card you wanted like a with sympathy card, you could easily do the same thing.
They can color them right on here.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Color them right on there, and then leave them.
Through
And
there,
I'm gonna tie my little colors back water. Yeah, the one that I'm coloring right now was like in like a little. I made it so it was like, you know, roots. Oh yeah, the little roots of the page. Yeah, I thought that was really fun. Okay. Oh, hi Lori. People commenting where they're watching from, so sweet. All right, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make my little plant grouping kind of together, and then I'm going to write my little words. Oh my gosh, I'm really excited about this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill this away now. And so that's leaving that nice space, nice and clear for you to write. And that washi tape doesn't like harm your paper or anything, and it makes it really easy for you to go in and add that. Because I'm going to be adding my little leaf sprigs, which I'm just so thrilled about, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my little address here. So we will write this to my friend Jay. And I'm just going to continue to write in my happy place. Avenue this time. All right, and then for their name, I'm going to actually go over and do a duo color, so then the name really pops here. And that kind of ties in both of my colors of the greens that I was coloring with. All right, and then because my plan for this one, oh, I'll be right back. I need to grab my glue. I need glue. Hold on, everyone.
That's just amazing. Cute. I'll show you real quick.
Oh, thank you. I was wondering where that was. Oh, there's my watercolors. I was wondering. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue my little leaves down. And because I don't want that to, I mean, I can always pop it in a clear bag if I wanted to, but we're acting as if we're going to mail this as is. You want to make sure that you have your glue has a full adherence there. So that way nothing peels up.
Maybe get some ideas for my envelope.
Yeah, oh, they're really wonderful. Yeah, they're very fun to cut out. Of course, I don't have like matching die cuts or anything with them, but you know, it's fussy cutting. I did fussy cutting for years and I really enjoyed it. Once I got exposed to the world of a card making and die cuts, then I was like, oh, I could die cut this so much faster. All right, and let's see what else we want to do here. I'm just going to add some little dot groupings just to kind of fill that space a little bit. And I think that is what I want to be done with for this one. I think that's where we'll stop. So, anyways, cute little envelope with the little plants on the bottom. Isn't that so cute? And it just kind of makes it look like a happy day. Of course, you could add like other little plants. You could add like a little sunshine if you wanted to. But I kind of like that it's just kind of a fun. It's kind of a fun background, and it doesn't take a lot of effort. And you could just use a stencil you already have if you wanted to do something else to kind of make your envelope more fun. So, anyways, I thought that was a pretty fun and cute idea. So, all right, if you guys want to go back closer, but you're welcome to do that. Good. All right, all of my different ideas here. Okay. So speaking of, oh, I'm actually going to clean my surface off here. You guys up there on the camera, you get to see my workspace is all messy. But that's okay. This is oftentimes what it's like when I create at home. I'm like, and then this idea, and then, wait, where's this project? Oh, it's like hiding under this stuff. And so I'm like looking for things that, it's because I get inspired in the moment. I don't necessarily always want to like clean up my space, but I do like creating in my space. All right. So once again, this is my art, and I wanted to make these, I put them on watercolor paper because I want to go in, I want to do some watercolors on these. And I'm just going to go ahead and trim this down. Alright. And then I actually cut some of my little dots. I did it so then that way they actually are going to be cut all the way around. And I actually did that on purpose So I can go in, and I'm actually going to cut that out too. Sometimes when we have images, we have a little bit of a border around it that we can't use at the time because we need our images to be smaller. So what I thought I might do here is trim this out and use this as well. So we'll see how this comes out. I don't know what will happen here, but so, a very, very skinny piece that I'm going to cut. I know it will match up eventually, so that's all right. Okay, so lay that down. All right. Now the envelope I'm going to use. I'm going to use one of these colored envelopes. Let's see what we have here. Will this fit on here? We will see. Yes, it will. All right, so now I'm going to do a little bit of watercolors. I was wondering what happened to my watercolor palette, and it was hiding. So I'm going to lay this out here. I have to spritz my watercolors with water ahead of time because then it activates all the colors. So then I don't have to wait for the color to activate and get in there. You can just go in and you can just watercolor right away. All right, and I always use a paper towel when I'm watercoloring because then you have to clean off your brush in between everything as well. So we're just going to lay this to the side for just a moment. All right, now I want to kind of go in. I obviously have blue on this last, and we're going to make some fun colored mushrooms. And I'm a kind of a classic mushroom kind of a person, so we're going to do the classic red mushrooms. And apparently my watercoloring isn't perfect today, but that is a-okay. All right. Paint our little toppers here. Okay. And then, just think about other colors I'm going to add into my painting here. I'm also going to do some yellow for the little moon because I just think that looks really fun. I really like that. And we'll do some kind of more toned down yellow for the stems of my mushrooms here.
That's a really interesting brush.
Yeah, this is called a water brush. It is amazing for doing watercoloring.
Oh, yeah,
it is really what I personally like to do for watercoloring because it's just so fast and you can easily clean off your brush. But you also don't need to have a cup of water on your counter that you might accidentally knock over.
Right.
Obviously, I'm the kind of person that would knock something over. I get so excited all the time. Bling! There we go, the water cup. And it has happened on numerous occasions to me. So I pretty much always just use a water brush. It just makes more sense for me personally. Yeah. And since we're working at night, even though I do have some little grasses here, I'm just going to make this kind of brown, just kind of tone that down a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to get out my spray box again. I'm going to lay this down. And I'm going to add just a very faint spray to this because I want to just make it look a little bit more exciting here. Okay. I'm going to kind of block off some of my little areas with my hand. I know it's not official. I just kind of want to add just a tiny little touch of just a little bit of sprays. Oh, and my hand made a mask. All right, so we have just kind of like a fun, like little exciting little scene here, which is kind of fun. All right, and then I'm going to tuck that to the side for just a second because on the oxide spray inks, the ink actually shows up on black paper, which is really cool. Yes. Since I have some spray already in my box here, I think I'm actually going to do a monoprint. So where you actually spray in your box here, because it's not going to sink in right away, a monoprint is just where you press down. And then you can just peel it up. It's kind of interesting, kind of a weird effect because we have the texture of the box we're working with here. So we'll just kind of see what happens. Make it look artistic, fun, different, interesting. We can just use whatever textures we got laying around here. So we'll go ahead and do that.
It's a texture.
And then, yes, a little bit more textured, yes. And then, since I have my while this is drying here for just a moment, I'm actually going to take this guy, and since I already have some yellow in here, I don't have yellow anywhere else on my card. So I think I'm also going to take some yellow here and just quickly colorize this. Because then that way it'll stand out on my black background. Now, again, for something like this kind of a thing with my black envelope, I'm picking a focal point, which is going to be my mushroom scene right here. And then we're going to add in our little, obviously we're going to add in our little address and stuff like that. Or maybe you just want to make a fun envelope that goes with the card you've already made. Maybe it doesn't even need an address. There's certainly options for, things you want to create there. All right, so I think that what we're going to do is I'm actually going to use this piece. Okay, so I have my little pieces left over from earlier. I'm going to go ahead and wipe this up so it doesn't get all over the place. There goes my writing brush. Alright. Okay. I'm just going to dab this out just over some slightly here. Alright, now on a separate piece of paper, let's see what else I have here. I'll just use the edge of this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, what colors are we working with here? I have a little bit of a red. Okay. So, I just need a piece of white paper since I have extra white on this paper. That's what I'm going to use. So I'm trying to stick with the same kind of movement I already have going on, which is kind of this circly kind of movement. So what I'm actually going to do here, this is a little weird, but we're just going to go with it. None of my ideas are perfect, but they are fun and sometimes a little messy, so that's okay. Alright, so I have my little piece of paper I'm going to do my inking on. I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to mask this off just with the circle top right here on this top section. And then I'm going to take the other color of the ink that I have. So we're kind of in this kind of reddish tone with our cards here. So I'm going to kind of go with the pink. Actually, I'm going to do more red. So we're going to kind of go with this orangey color. I think it's abandoned coral. Alright, and I'm just going to spray this on here. So what that's done is it's giving me kind of this half moon shape. Take my scissors and trim that half moon shape out so that the mask really acted as a guide for me. And then, since that ink dries pretty quickly, which is really nice, I can go in here and I can add my little address. Now, who am I going to write this one to? Let's see. I think we'll write this one. We'll write this one to Linda.
Okay.
Linda.
Wonderful.
And I should put your last name down here. And then we'll do this. You live on Rainbow Way today.
Absolutely. I'm glad for it.
All right, and then, and I'm actually sillily gonna go ahead and put this up here.
There we go.
Kind of following in my kind of motion already that we have going on. And since this is dried now we can add in our fun little design that we created. So we have our little movement here. Some of these, if anything is hanging off of the edge, we'll have to trim it off. And we'll have in our little, I kind of like that our little mushrooms kind of look like they're kind of peeking out from behind.
Yeah.
A little image. I think that's really sweet. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and we'll start taping everything down. Or gluing, actually, is what I prefer to do. All right, especially because of the fine line little circle that we have here, it's best if we use a fine line glue like this. Yeah. And this glue I'm currently sold out of, but it's going to be back in hopefully in the next couple days. We're waiting on several orders to arrive.
I have to get some of that.
Oh, it's the best. It is absolutely the best glue. It's so fine lined. The cap actually has suction in it, which actually prevents it from clogging.
Oh, that's awesome.
Can't say that it never clogs because I have had like 3 times it's clogged on me. But considering that there are so many other glues out there that clog way more often than that,
Yep.
I really can't complain. So, all right. And we'll go in here and we'll add our glue. Get it back in. Because again, this is probably an envelope that I probably personally will not try to put into a clear bag unless I wanted to. I certainly could. But I'm going to try and really glue everything down. And I'm kind of aiming this more towards where my little guy might come up here. So I'm going to kind of pop out a little bit. Okay. And then we'll add some more glue here. Oh, come on. Work with me. Put that on the bottom. And then we have our little fun little address. Isn't that sweet? So, anyways, I thought that was just kind of fun. Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
kind of a
God.
way, kind of a fun way to just kind of make it look a little bit more exciting. But I love being able to have like your small pattern where you're having all your different colors and tying those colors in other areas. So then that way it's not like, wow, that doesn't match. So just kind of having that balance. And you didn't, I used my just normal pen to write my fine line. You could of course use, I could have used a black pen, but just a random pen laying around. So anyways,
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So now,
Drawings, I love those.
I know.
yes, aren't those so much fun? Yes, I love those. Oh, right.
Oh, that's even cute
Those
too.
little
With a
dice
little,
little-
yep.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that sweet? Okay. All right. I have at least another idea here. I'll find my other bags. Okay. Oh goodness. Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Very kind
Set
of
it
you.
right up here.
Perfect. That sounds great. Okay, so now for this next idea, I wanted to use this beautiful tree paper. The paper is just absolutely stunning. So I'm actually just want this to be on the front of my envelope. So I'm just going to line up my envelope here and just trim this down. So that way I know it's going to fit on the whole front of the card, the whole front of the envelope here. Jay, can you tell me what time it is?
I can tell you, it's 9 minutes to.
Oh,
It's about 10
perfect,
minutes to.
perfect. The timing is wonderful. Okay. Makes sense. All right. So now what I'm going to do here, because I really love the tree die cut, or this tree paper, what I'm actually going to do here, I'm not gluing on the envelope quite yet, I'm actually going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm just going to cut right along this edge. And I think I'm also going to cut right along this edge. Okay. All right. So now I have my little pieces. My address can tuck in. You can tuck little things in.
Okay.
Isn't that so fun?
It is.
So I want my little return address as well. So that can like tuck up here. And I'm going to kind of find a color in here that's kind of similar. So we're kind of going with this kind of green color. So we'll just do, this is from Art and Happiness. Now this address I'm willing to give out because it's a shop address. I do write fast.
And you can still read it. That's the best part.
Amazingly, amazingly. All right, and then we'll just say,
That is super cool paper. I just love this idea.
yes, isn't this so fun?
Yeah.
And then we'll send this to Debbie. And I always like to kind of go in here, and then you can write, like, last name. Since I don't know what your last name is, I'm literally going to write the word last name.
Okay, Murphy. But yeah, that's great.
Because sometimes I just like to be able to kind of balance those a little bit. I just think that's really fun. And then we'll do our little fake address here. Whenever I need fake addresses, I always choose like Rainbow Lane. I don't know why.
But it works.
Alright. And then I know I have some other. Alright, and then just for the purposes of layering, what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to trim out a piece of paper that's just a little bit bigger than what we have. Especially because we want this to be the focal point of our envelope here. And actually take this, and I'm going to use my craft mat again because I don't need to have my cutting mat up here anymore. I'm going to take this, and I'm just, because I just need it to be layering, I'm actually just going
I
to,
thought you were going to do that.
yes,
I
exactly.
can see that coming.
Because if you don't have the color of cardstock that you need, but you want it to be a nice layering, this is a very quick way to do that.
Yes.
And then you get that fun layer, it kind of draws your eye
Oh,
in
yeah.
a little bit, and I'm actually just going to darken this up in just a couple little areas here with my other pen here. Sometimes it's fun to kind of do like a tone-on-tone kind of a thing. And then, go ahead and glue this down. And then, so that will just tuck right in there. And so we have our dark green on the outside. It's not going to be the total focal point, but I kind of like that it kind of ties in just a little bit. If you had like a little animal or something, like a little like raccoon, be like looking up. Oh my gosh, so cute. So cute.
We have bunnies and deer.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be so much fun to add in? Oh, I should have done some little die cut deer. That would have been so perfect for this. Oh, I don't have time to cut them out. That's
My
right.
son was telling me when he came in last night and drove in the driveway, the deer were under the apple trees in the front yard. And the
Oh,
bunnies were running around the backyard.
so sweet. Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah.
And we'll put our little return address up here at the
We feel
top.
very fond of them and protective of them.
Yes, oh, I'm sure you do. All right, now, because I just love these trees so much,
Yes.
I'm actually going to cut out one of these. Now, of course, I could, if I really wanted to, I could go in and use my scissors and trim into all these little areas to add that extra texture, but I don't think I'm going to do that right now. one tree there. And the birch trees are just really sweet. I really love this design. I especially love that whoever did this added the little leaves into that. I just think that's so sweet. Personally, I'm not willing to fussy cut those tiny little leaves at the moment. Though, if I were to do this and had more time to fussy cut all the little things, I might fussy cut the little leaves because I think they're really
Some little gnomes on the back of that.
I know the little gnomes are just so cute. Yes. The little Thanksgiving gnomes. To be perfectly honest, when I got this paper, I was like, I loved the trees. I just loved that. I mean, it's not that the gnomes aren't cute, but I really liked the trees. That was my favorite part. And I need to wipe this up here so I don't get my, I might have already got enough. I think it's cleaning on the back side. Okay. Alright. So now we have the front here. If you had like some little bird die cuts, you could put some little birds on there, which would be super cute. It's a fun way to add that in. I'm going to put my double-sided tape on the back side of this. And I'm getting a full adherence here. That way I know it's going to go all the way to the edge here. Okay. And then on the back, we can put our little trees in. And I'm also going to do one more little cut here. I brought a paper cutter over to get it straight. Alright, and this is just washi tape leftover from earlier, but we don't need that. And then I like to add little extras sometimes.
Oh, yes.
Because that's the kind of person that I am.
I understand.
Also sending happiness. Ooh. And we'll emphasize the word happiness because I love happiness. Besides, it's the name of my shop. I have to love happiness. And then, because the envelope is going to be sealed anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and just seal this up. Of course, if you were doing this, you put your letter in it and then do this part. So I'm just saying that to those people that are wondering, like, why are you sealing your envelope now? So that's what's going on there. Now I'm going to add in my little trees. And I know we're going to end up cutting some of these off, and that's okay. Now before I lay that down, I'm going to go ahead and tuck this underneath here, so that way we're kind of going with a similar kind of theme that we have from before. And I'm going to add some more glue here to glue that in place. And then to finish this off, we will trim this off on the top here. And then on the other side here, I'm going to do the thing I did earlier where I kind of draw around it. And that way it just kind of draws your eye towards your little thing. I like to add my little dot groupings because it just makes it look a little bit more fun. And then speaking of dot groupings, I'm really big on adding dot groupings sometimes when you need to fill up more space. And a dot grouping is usually a big dot and at least 2 or 3 little dots.
That's interesting.
Isn't that fun? All right, so there we have our little envelope and then adding the fun on the back. Isn't that fun? So kind of sticking with that theme, you know, where you're having so if you have a pattern paper and they have extra left over, you cut it out, add to the back. I mean, why not? So, all right, you guys, that is today's demo. Thank you for bearing with my mess as I get creative, but hopefully you guys were inspired, got some fun ideas. Oh, I had so many ideas. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I love lots of ideas. Yay!
You got 5 of them in 1 hour.
Yeah, pretty pleased. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. Oh, wow. Thank you, everyone, for joining me for demo today. We'll see you guys later.